So we're going to do a bit of a story time video today from really kind of a exciting period of this, my spiritual life at least. This is the early 2000s. So let's all time travel together back to the early 2000s and the beautiful city of Seattle. This is about 2 months after I started practicing the meditation technique called the Ascension. So it's April 2000. And at this point, like, looking back, I had plenty of tension in my nervous system. I mean, there was a lot of stresses and tensions that still needed to be released. Lots of buttons that could be easily pushed. I wouldn't, necessarily describe myself, my nervous system back then as I don't know, particularly well evolved or at peace or anything like that. So, in that sense, there was a lot of gunk and tensions, all that kind of stuff. And something remarkable happened for a very short period of time. So at this time, we had just moved into Seattle. I was sharing an apartment with my sister and my soon-to-be first brother-in-law, and a little one bedroom in Seattle. So they got the bedroom. I was at that time still very, very ascetic, sleeping on the floor, on a yoga mat with a little rolled up towel under my neck for a pillow. It was comfortable back then. And we were very physically active. My sister and I were often going out, walking around the hilly, Seattle's a bit like San Francisco, the hilly terrain of Seattle, knocking on doors, dropping off resumes, filling out applications, trying to get jobs. And sometimes we'd walk like 8 to 10 miles a day, which, that's not nothing. And in the mornings, I was also very active. I was jogging from our apartment up to Capitol Hill, up the top of Capitol Hill, to this beautiful place called Volunteer Park. Has a big water tower in it. And at that time, I was like, yes, we better run up the water tower. So I would go ahead and do that. So I was very active, and I would have thought to be tired. I'm saying this all because it's a bit of a setup, because what I found is that when I would nominally go to sleep at 10 p.m. at night, like clockwork, I would lay flat on my yoga mat, close my eyes, start doing the mantric practice of the Ascension, and instead of falling asleep, I would just proceed to do it for the next 8 hours straight. And now I wasn't just necessarily simply sitting there, kind of doing mantras. It was in sort of a effortful kind of way. It was very relaxed. It was very comfortable. In fact, I had the sense of sitting way, 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 way down, like resting way, way down somewhere, like at the bottom of a lake, and looking up from the bottom, the cool, calm bottom of the lake, at all the little thoughts that would flow through at the surface. So there was that, but I was definitely not asleep. We were definitely watching thoughts and then thinking a mantra, letting it take us where it would, coming back up, noticing that I was moving into a thought, coming back, something like that, And I would then get up at 6 in the morning with my alarm clock, not having slept, and feel like $1 million. So this went for one night, and I figured, okay, I'm 18. I could probably handle, a night without proper sleep and, go on with my schedule. Next night I went to bed. Same thing happened. Only for the next few nights, it was kind of like on steroids. There was a sense of being down, in really beautiful, silent, vast depths. And yet there was also this buzzy energy that was flowing up and down my spine. And so I was also kind of watching this fireworks display happen from the bottom. And this was a delightful energy because it wasn't just like an caustic, electrical sort of thing. It was palpably healing. Would feel it proceed up my legs, and would feel all these tensions and sore spots in the knees, in the thighs, and the hips, just kind of melted off by this movement. And on the way down, I would feel this delightful sort of honey-like feeling coming down the center of the head, going through the body. And so this, I don't know, this went on for like 7 days. And I was just, okay, I guess we don't need sleep anymore. In fact, at the time I was really excited. I thought, oh my goodness, I don't, I don't feel particularly uh, uh, spiritually evolved here, but wow, what's next? Levitation. And then I went back to normal sleep. And so that was wonderful. It's never really come back like that, ever. It was such an interesting, fun anomaly. To the point that I almost suspect that we were given that in a way as a window into what was possible. Later on, I think it would have been, it's not that much later, like 2-3 years later. Oh God, it all happened so quickly. 2 years later, I found myself in a meditation teacher training program. In this program, it lasted 6 months, 5.5 maybe. They say solid 5 of those months. The schedule was basically 10, 12, maybe more, depending on how much you slept. More hours of the day spent in closed-eyed meditation, hatha yoga twice a day, morning and night, evening meetings, a meal, breakfast if you wanted it. I actually really often didn't. And that was a wonderful period. At a certain point in this period, proper sleep wasn't happening again, or I might say there was an awakeness that was present alongside sleeping, which was something that, having read about that in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali beforehand, I thought, is that possible? Really? What? How? I'd had lucid dreams, but this seemed like something else altogether. And sure enough, there it started to happen. God knows what time it would have been, because I had no sense of time, but literally asleep, eyes closed. And I thought, oh, it'd be nice to get up and do something. And I was unable to prompt my mind to do anything. My mind was actually making a weird, palpable droning noise, if you can believe this. It's very strange. My mind was basically going, just like that. And I thought, oh God, so I'm going to have to wait on the mind to get up so then I can use the mind to get the body, and then I can have my freedom again. And one asks, how can one have those thoughts if the mind is asleep? I don't know. Maybe the mind wasn't asleep, but I think it was. So very, very strange. It was like having thoughts from awareness and the whole mind-body. Maybe it was a lower aspect of mind, and there's a higher aspect of mind that also produces thoughts. I don't know how you arrange that, how you want to put that together. I've never been concerned with the taxonomy of that in actuality, but there you have it, sitting there. And this went on for some days, until it got to the point where I was like, well, I actually very much enjoy normal sleep. So I kind of put a request out, as long as it was in, with a caveat, if this is in the highest, order here, if this is, what the universal will wants, could we maybe have just normal sleep again? And as soon as I put that request out, the next night went back to normal. And I really haven't had all that much of sitting there with like a log-like, inert body mind and having to wait for the body mind to be able to do something. That was those were both very, very interesting periods of life. And why do I share this? I don't know. Because it's fun, because I never quite know what I should talk about on these YouTube videos. Also, I think mainly because I've always been interested now and my whole life in the interesting fringes of conscious experience. One of the things that was wonderful about those periods, in different ways, and being awake all night, just the sheer volume of activity that I was able to carry out, maybe 10 miles a day walking, 3 miles a day running, yoga, push-ups, all sorts of stuff I was doing at the time. I was doing it on a vegan diet. Maybe that probably helped. Mostly was poor just moved out, so I was eating Safeway baguettes with avocado as, as like a main meal. So, I was eating other stuff too, but that's the staple that I remember. And yet, there we were, buzzing like a dynamo every day. The amount of energy that was moving through the body, I'd previously had experience with I think fairly potent chi transmissions from my qigong teacher back in Lake Geneva, but none of it was quite up to whatever this was going on up and down, and so that was fun, yeah. So anyhow, I don't think there's anything much more I want to say on this right now, and I hope you have a really lovely day, and I hope you know that you don't really have to beat the hell out of yourself to fall into really, really interesting spiritual spaces and experiences. They can come, in really effortless sorts of ways. And you can be doing a very effortless practice like I was, but and just do it consistently, and just do it with some commitment. And you can have, walk yourself into very interesting spaces. All right, so till another time, have a lovely day.